So now we're going to go through a few exercises that can help you to sort of figure out what your values are, what's important to you, and what might make for a great basis for a personal statement. So the first exercise, which you'll find in your shared Google folder in the subfolder of Common App Personal Statement, is called the Values Exercise. And this one has about 60 different values that may be important to you. What we want you to do is go through the list and choose 10 values that you think really reflect who you are. From those 10, we then want you to narrow down to the 5 most important values that you think define you. And then we want you to choose one value that you think really speaks to your character or your personality. Go ahead and go through that and complete that now. And then we'll start on the second exercise. So the second exercise is called Time Capsule. And what I want you to do for this is to think about some objects that really that would give us a sense of what your life is like right now, or that what's important to you. That if you buried it and came back to it 30 years ago, you would have a pretty accurate snapshot of your life and what mattered to you at this stage in time. So we're going to be thinking about different objects that have some kind of relevance or meaning to you. Maybe it's a running shoe from your track competition. Maybe it's a ticket from a flight to a trip that was really important to you. Maybe it's a letter that somebody wrote you. It could be a piece of jewelry that somebody important to you gave to you. It could be almost anything, but it has to be a physical object. So I want you to think about 10 physical objects that at this point in time, if you had to put them into a capsule and seal it up for the next 30 years, what would those say about you? We're going to jot those down again in this exercise that's in your folder under the heading Time Capsule. So I want you to take a few minutes and just jot down 10 ideas for objects that are meaningful to you in some way and that tell a story about what matters to you. So our third activity is called the Identity Pie Chart. And in this, we've given you a blank circle as one of your exercises in your folder. We're going to ask you to partition off the pieces of pie that make up your identity. Those could be big or small. You can have just a few, or you can have 15 or 20, but we want you to just think about what makes up who you are. As an example, I've created my own identity pie chart here for you. So as you can see, for me, family is a big part of my identity. So I'm a wife, I'm a mother of 3 kids, and that makes up a big part of kind of who I am and how I see the world. I also would put work as a pretty big part of my identity. So I created this company 8 years ago, and I just absolutely love working with teenagers and love being able to help people achieve their aspirations. So that definitely has made me a lot of who I am. Faith is something that's important to me. So I wasn't raised in a Christian household, but I discovered my own faith as a young adult, and that has really shaped who I am and shaped my identity in many ways. Similarly, my parents are important to me. So I had a really great relationship with my parents. They both passed away in this past year, and that act of going through that also really shaped who I was and shaped kind of how I view the world. And then there are other things that are maybe a little bit smaller. So I grew up in California. That didn't just shape my accent, it also shaped my outlook on the world. I moved to France when I was in my early 20s, and my kids were all born in France. I learned to love French cooking and French style when I was living there, and I actually got French citizenship. So it was a big part of who I've become. Dubai similarly is not on my list, but that also has shaped me in many ways. Then there are smaller things like cooking and like reading. Those are hobbies that I really enjoy, and they share a little bit of who I am, but maybe they wouldn't be the biggest part of the puzzle. So I want you to go through this same exercise and just think about what makes up who you are, what experiences, what people, what is it that you love that kind of has shaped who you are. And spend a little bit of time working on this. You can print out 2 or 3 copies, and then once you've actually completed your pie chart, we want you to scan and upload or take a photo and send it to us so that we can get a sense of what makes you you. Thanks. I hope that this has been useful to you and given you some food for thought as you start to think about a great personal statement topic. We're going to be in touch with you over these next couple of days just to help you brainstorm, and the idea would be that in this next week we want you to come up with 3 potential personal statement topics and flesh those out a little bit, and then your counselor will be going through those with you, and hopefully we'll actually start writing these personal statements in the coming week or 2 weeks, which is very exciting. Let us know if you have any questions. Thanks so much.